Small business is about courage, risk-taking, independence, and we small business owners are survivors. Everybody has an idea for a business, but how do you take that idea from mind to market? This is the place to learn.
Small Business School.
It's a new kind of school. Together we'll learn about business from the inside out, from the people who've done it. We'll meet the men and women who are today's pioneers and quiet heroes. Their lives are the textbooks. Our classroom is the world.
Small Business School is made possible by support from the United States Postal Service, delivering the promise to America's 23 million small and growing businesses. There's no wait at the post office in your own office. USPS.com is waiting for you. And by Microsoft.
We see you building a new company from an old company. We see a business full of potential. We're inspired to create software that helps you reach it.
Hi, I'm Hattie Bryant. By bucking the system, thinking without a box, and committing to thousands of steps along the innovation process, 3 men have broken through. Because of their work, healthcare is better today than it was 10 years ago, and the future is brighter for all of us. In San Diego, California, a haven for biotech startups, meet the founders of Biosite. Kim Blinkenstaff is CEO. Dr. Ken Buechler is President and Chief Scientific Officer. And Dr. Gunners Valkiers is Senior Vice President for Biosite Discovery. Let's go inside.
Well, let me tell you what it's like to have 10 out of 10 Harvard MBAs that look at your business plan and say it's a stupid idea. I mean, that gets to be tough. I mean, they do their own checks with their own clinicians that they talk to. They talk to people that have been in the industry that you're in. And, you know, a lot of market leaders view new product approaches as being stupid as, you know, because, you know, right, it's new and innovative, and that's not what they're doing.
I think that what we did right was we identified the first product opportunity correctly. When even some of the experts in this field, the drug testing field, said this market does not exist. There is no demand for this test in the hospital. And we're talking about one of the CEO of a company that was the leading drug testing company in the world said that there's no market for this product.
While the competitors stick with bulky machines that need a lab technician to run, Biosite's products are portable and simple to use. The competition is not able to deliver a result at night or over the weekend when the lab is closed, and Biosite's products give the clinician test results 24/7 in 15 minutes.
Well, it actually occurred to us in about 1988, 1987, that there was a need for a rapid diagnostic at that time for drugs of abuse. And obviously patients come into emergency rooms suffering from drug overdose of any kind of drug, prescription or non-prescription drugs, and that patient needs help immediately because the patient could be overdosing.
We believed there was a market for it because we had tested the market and people said that they needed a test like this. So, you know, it was completely the opposite of what one of the thought leaders thought.
Why do you think your industry has been so stuck?
I think it's been stuck because of this so-called installed base. And what the installed base is in our industry are big laboratory analyzers that measure one protein at a time. And what we recognize, part of our innovation, is the ability to measure more than one protein at a time. And the reason that's important is because the diseases that people actually have that need to be diagnosed, for example, heart attacks or acute myocardial infarctions, these diseases have different etiologies. And because they have different etiologies, they also change as a function of time. And as they change, the protein markers profile also changes in the blood. So this means then that if one measures more than one protein at a time, you'll really get a much better idea of what the patient may be suffering from.
The large diagnostics companies have evolved their technology platforms to the point where the only thing they focus on is making a machine bigger and faster so that the result can be delivered cheaper. They're not delivering a different result. It's the same result they delivered 30 years ago. They're trying to deliver it a little bit cheaper, and by little bit I mean, you know, $2.50 instead of $3. That's a big deal in the diagnostics business.
Because it adds up.
You know, but if you look at the overall cost of health care, you know, the 50 cents they're saving there is lost because they spent $5,000 extra on the patient because they misdiagnosed the patient, sent them to the wrong level of care, and the patient spent 3 days in the ICU or in some other ward when they could have been sent home, and vice versa. They sent somebody else home that died because they should have been in the hospital.
Right.
And that's what we've done. We've basically packaged what this robotic instrument does into a very simple plastic device. And it's a technological advance. But in the case of acute illness, where the result is necessary in a rapid time frame to make decisions, that's really where our technology shines.
The test is really simple. It requires a drop, literally a drop of blood, to be placed on a plastic cartridge. And then it sits there for 15 minutes, and then you put it into a reader. You get a number, and that is it.
We found each other at Hybertech, which was our previous employer, and we knew each other and had worked together very well.
It was the first company to use monoclonal antibodies. That's a term over your head, but a new age of antibodies that were genetically engineered, basically, for doing diagnosis and treatment of things like cancer. And Gunners had come up with an idea for a very rapid, sensitive, simple pregnancy test. And they thought, well, if Kim wants to get into marketing, this is the simplest product that we offer. He ought to be able to understand it, and let's let him cut his teeth on it. So when I got involved with it, it was a research lab notebook sort of experiment stage of development. And so Gunners and I got thrown together on this project, and I didn't know anything about marketing. Really, I was learning at the time, sort of on the fly. And I had some sort of peers that were mentors to me on how you launch a product, give it an identity, and deal with ad agencies and define markets and so forth. And Gunners and I bonded as sort of a team.
So you were saying that Gunners needed help.
Correct.
And he recruited Ken.
Exactly. And so, with the success that we had, we expanded the number of product ideas that we thought were addressable. But we got sort of defined as those wild and crazy guys that, sort of pushed this project through the system, got it done quicker, better. It made a real business out of it. It was very profitable. And people were looking at us to be the next wave of growth for, rapid testing. So later on, the company was acquired by Eli Lilly, and Ken and Gunners and I were all in the top 10 people that needed to be retained. And I should mention that all the executives got shot within about 2 weeks of the acquisition, so they were out. But Lilly looked at the product growth going forward and said, this is a key group that's very successful that we have to figure out how to keep. So we didn't like the corporate bureaucracy, and I like this creative, open environment that I had with Gunners and Ken. If I could find a way to do that again, I'd be willing to take a career risk going forward to try to do that. But that wasn't available in Lilly. In fact, we actually tried to pitch to Lilly, put us, Gunners, Kim, and Ken, off in a separate building away from your bureaucracy and let us look at new ideas again. And they said, no, we don't operate that way. So, we tried to do this sort of intrapreneur concept, but that ultimately became the genesis of the plan that, hey, let's go out and find some money on our own and go out and find a garage lab somewhere and do this on our own.
Well, it wasn't really any fun anymore. We weren't really able to be innovative in what we wanted to do. It was more of a situation where we were told what to do. We couldn't really be scientists, I guess, is the best way to say it.
Kim, I think, at one point said, well, if you guys ever decide to leave this place, give me a call. And so that call was made, and we started getting together and deciding whether it was reasonable and, could we get money to start something.
How did you get people to give you money?
Well, we were lucky. Two of the senior folks at Hybertech, Ted Green and Tim Walliger, went off and raised money to have a fund called BioVest. We really didn't have a solid business plan. They knew us. They had seen what we had done within Hybertech, and they thought, oh boy, the chance to get those three guys back into a lab somewhere excited them. So the way we did the deal was they gave us $500,000. That's I think they had $6 million total, so they wanted to have half in the first round, half in the second round. And we rented an office space to write that business plan and set out to work on the product idea that we come up with.
So they bet on the horses, not the document.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, the document was pretty ugly.
So the real struggle came after we finished the proof of principle. How do we get enough money now to develop the product? And that's where we had to go to the outside venture capital community, and that was a very difficult and torturous process. So the first opportunity we had identified really was that there was no rapid way to do a test for drugs of abuse in the hospital. So this isn't really what you would call employment screening. It's to determine whether a patient that arrives in the emergency department is, is in some way compromised by an overdose of either illicit drugs or of prescription drugs. And so that was the first idea, and that's what we completed in 1992. The product came out in 1992. We were profitable at the time, and we decided to reinvest a lot of our resources back into a larger scale research and development program. There are several rounds of venture capital financing. None of those rounds were very large for us, so we had to continually prove progress toward the goal of developing this product. Plus, we had to bolster our market research so we could prove to our investors that when this product is ready, yes, there is a market for it. It's big enough, to be interesting to you, and so you should give us some more money. Continue to give us venture capital money until we're able to get the product on the market. And I think it took a total of about $21 million in investment before we got the product on the market. So the venture capitalists really cashed out in 1997 when the company went public.
Okay, so from 88 to 97, they sat with you.
That's right.
How did you keep them happy?
Well, you continue to make progress. You become profitable, so they don't have to inject money into the company anymore. They feel at least comfortable that you're building value.
Did you always have the IPO in your mind?
No, absolutely not. When we started the company, the model was going to be, we probably couldn't get public because it was a one-product idea. I mean, we had no more than one product. It was this rapid drug testing idea.
Okay.
We thought it would be a $25 or $30 million business, and someone like Abbott or Roche would come in and scarf us up, and for 4 years' worth of work, it was worth $75 to $100 million based upon doing 25 to 35 million in revenue. So that was the plan. Never thought we'd go public.
Okay. At what point did you say, whoa, we don't have to cash out. We can keep playing?
Well, I think that probably started about the 95, 96 time frame when we really, we had gotten this product launched. It was starting to ramp. We had some operational issues, but the cash flow was good. We were profitable. And Ted Green and Tim Walliger at a board meeting one day said, challenged us, hey, this was a one-product idea. You got to clone yourself. You guys has got to turn this into a strategy as opposed to a product company.
They also, I heard you say, planted the seed to do the public offering. The board.
Well, I think
not the three of you.
Well, I'd have to admit I was scared of the thought of ever having to go public or run a public company. It was, sort of the business equivalent of Mount Everest. And the stories that I heard about, not only how hard it was to do it, the difficulty of being a public company afterwards, it makes you want to be, you want to run from that potential,
right,
challenging experience.
Why do you think you all decided not to take your money and run?
Well, because I guess that wouldn't have been a fun thing to do. I think that we didn't feel that we were really successful at that point. I think we recognized we developed a product, but in no way, I think, did we consider that was success. I think that was a milestone, and it was a stepping stone to what we felt that we could really do. And at the time, that was drugs of abuse. The technology for that was considerably different than the technology today that we use with the triage meter. And so we recognized that there was this need, a totally new technology had to be developed, technology that hadn't existed at all anywhere. And it was that challenge, and that's what made it fun to continue to work.
The crucial time was 1992, when the first product went to market. It was successful, it was profitable, and there was sort of a decision at that point: do we sell this company off? And we could have, maybe for $100 million or something, and gone off and done something else. Mm-hmm. Or do we invest that profit and do something larger in this same business And so we decided to invest the profit, and really it resulted in two things. It resulted in the device technology that we now call the triage quantitative device,
Right.
and the antibody technology that really is sort of the source of how we can manage to do all of these projects cost effectively.
Did your life change when you said we're going to do an IPO?
Definitely my job changed. You know, I'm probably occupied with this investor relations thing, you know, I'd say 30 to 40% of my time. I immediately looked to find somebody that could be a chief operating officer caliber person who could manage, you know, $150 to $200 million business in this arena.
Right.
And he started here in about December, and we went on our road show. I think it was like January 6th is when we started our road show in 1997.
Since the IPO, new products have rolled out and hundreds of jobs have been created. At the time of this taping, annual revenues were nearing $250 million, with 1,200 on the payroll. The #1 seller today is the triage meter and devices for detecting congestive heart failure.
The production process is actually very, very complicated. We're dealing with chemicals, with biological materials that can in effect die if you don't treat them properly. So there's really a lot of skill that's involved in actually making the product. Yes, it is very overwhelming, and it took us actually several years to develop the manufacturing procedures to be good enough that would allow us to give very reproducible results in the field. Many thousands of steps actually go into making the reagents, and then also many steps go into actually building the device itself.
Okay, now that we know there's a process, 1,000 steps, why can't everybody knock this off?
Well, we have intellectual property, for one, that prevents other people from doing it. So that's a very large impediment. But we also believe that just the trade secrets that we have here that allow us to do that, the expertise that has taken us years to learn, is also an impediment to others.
Kim, Gunners, and Ken are the perfect leaders for the 21st century. They lead by example and with their intellectual persuasion. They believe high expectations mixed with plenty of fun create an environment where knowledge workers thrive. The idea to reward someone for making a really big mistake sounds counterintuitive, but it is the way these three encourage everyone at Biosite to stretch for new ideas. Kim, Gunners, and Ken know that Biosite is where it is today because they made plenty of mistakes, learned from them, corrected their course, and kept on in pursuit of what most thought was impossible. These pioneers are obsessed with solving some of the most daunting problems facing people today. They have opened a new door on healthcare. Their triage technology is all new science. It never existed until these three brought it into the world. The multi-marker index system is part of a universal thrust to know more, to go even deeper inside and into mysteries that have existed for all time. It is all about interiority, truly understanding the intricacies of life itself. What could going inside mean to you and your business? To read the entire script of this program, go to smallbusinessschool.org.
Where would you be by yourself?
I'd be nowhere without those guys. I mean, I can have an idea, and if I didn't have them or somebody else that could have delivered, you know, the scientific developments that we had, I'd be nowhere. I mean, I'd be a guy talking about an idea that was interesting, and you know, somebody else would probably beat us to market.
Okay.
So I mean, it's the bottom line. I mean, we're a partnership of sort of overlapping skill sets, I think all of which were important to making this thing a success.
We solve problems together. Nobody gets mad at each other. We've never had a shouting contest. We've just recognized that we're in the middle of a problem and we have to solve it.
Was there a time when you wanted to quit on
No.
Biosite?
No, never.
When you're personally stuck on a problem, what do?
Think.
Okay.
I think in developing the products, the triage meter, for example, and the micro capillary chip,
It's in here.
Yes, it took us about 5 to 6 years to develop that technology. And although We did have skeptics in the beginning, people who thought that this could never be done. It was clear that it could be done, and it was just a matter of doing it and solving all the problems. So really the issue is the ability to solve problems as quickly as possible.
We haven't even scratched the surface on the potential of diagnostics. We're really probably the first diagnostics company to take a very global perspective and treat diagnostics more like the pharmaceutical company treats the pharmaceutical business.
It's fun. It's fun going on to the next problem, figuring it out and solving it based upon the experience that you're gaining. You know, winning in that sense is fun, but then seeing a lot of people that are new to the organization or working their way up get that same sort of buzz that, you know, Gunners, Ken and I got when we were at Hybridtech, and then, you know, we did our first product here, seeing that sort of spread.
The multi-marker index that we've pioneered makes simple the interpretation of a very complex situation.
You're obviously, the three of you are not greedy.
We shared equally. I mean, that's part of the beauty of the thing. We all sat down and said, we're all, I mean, we've done nothing yet here, okay? All we did was get money out of, you know, our friends Tim and Ted to go forward and try to do this. There's no way to value, you know, our relative contribution other than saying we split it, you know, a third, a third, a third, and move forward. I never had regret about doing it that way.
Right.
Don't be greedy and hope that by having 3 happy people that stay for a long time, as opposed to maybe one guy that's really happy because he took the majority and he loses those 2 golden egg layers over the course of time. I don't think that's winning formula. I think you're going to create animosity, and you're going to lose the people that actually are going to create the growth going forward. You know, we always give stock to really all full-time levels in the organization, and it vests over a 4-year period. It's based upon a strike price of the public markets when you join the company. So the earlier you join it, or there's a dip in the stock, there may be fluctuations in that value, but options are an important part of what keeps everybody, you know, sort of thinking on the same page.
Right.
This is, you know, not dilutive in the sense of it's adding more to the share pool. It's actually adding more to the talent pool, so it's accretive. And if you like the kinds of growth rates that we put up over the last, you know, 5-6 years, that's because we had good retention and we had the, you know, the layers of the golden eggs stay with us as opposed to, you know, jumping off to startup companies. So this stuff is going to get quicker, simpler, more immediate, and I think more importantly, more definitive. You know, certainty and speed is really going to be the name of the game because everyone wants to drive down costs of episodes.
We were in it early in the game. We identified what is necessary to have the freedom to operate in this space. We went out and got that intellectual property, and now we're in a privileged position because of that. And at least for the next 5 to 10 years, we don't see that another diagnostics company can get into this business and copy our model.
And I used to wake up in fear in the early days. You know, fear is a great motivator. A lot of us lost a lot of sleep, and you know, there's now a satisfaction that we've put together, you know, more resources to make this dream and this model happen, and it's not all incumbent on just Gunners or me or Ken. You know, we now have allies that we've hired in that, you know, fit with the management team, and it's a real sense of satisfaction to wake up and know that, you know, we built a bigger entity, that, far more talented, that can really withstand some of these adversities that are going to come our way at some point in time. So, waking up, yeah, satisfied and excited.
No doubt we had some maybe fear that we wouldn't succeed, and I think that really drives a person to succeed because one should not ever accept failure. And I think that that attitude has permeated throughout Biosite and has created people who actually like to take risks and like to take chances and actually succeed.
Yeah.
I want to continue to work. I enjoy working. This is fun. If I go on vacation, I usually get bored. And so 20 years from now, probably, hopefully, I'll still be working.
And I would say there's no other diagnostics company in the world that has the focus on research and innovation that we do.
Why do you have to work?
Why do I have to work? Yeah. It's part of man's soul. You have to achieve. You know, I wouldn't give it up because I think it's a very, very rare thing. In fact, Ted Green said that. He's said it continually. He said a good company is a very rare thing. You know, cherish it and don't give it up.
Biosite is part of a universal thrust to know more, to go even deeper inside and into mysteries that have existed for all time. It is all about interiority, truly understanding the intricacies of life itself. By going deeply inside like Biosite, we can bring new insights to the surface. I'll see you next time.
Small Business School is made possible by support from the United States Postal Service, delivering the promise to America's 23 million small and growing businesses. There's no wait at the post office in your own office. USPS.com is waiting for you. And by Microsoft.
We see you building a new company from an old company. We see a business full of potential. We're inspired to create software that helps you reach it.
If you want to learn more about starting, running, and growing a business, come to our website, smallbusinessschool.org. There's streaming video and interactive study guides. The only way we can compete with big business is to be faster, smarter, and better. We are the engine of the American economy. We create the jobs. Small business is about big commitment. It's about sacrifice and struggle. But we do it because we say, if I don't do this, my life won't be complete.